guys! Hope that you're all doing well, or as well as you probably can be in the current circumstances. If you have stumbled across this video years from now, and you're watching it completely out of context, we are currently still, at the time that I'm filming this, in lockdown due to coronavirus. We are just at the end of week 2 in Scotland, where I am. And yeah, it's a really surreal and stressful time for everybody. So if you're coming to this from the future, yeah, that's where we are at the moment. And if you are watching this now when I'm uploading it, I hope that you're holding up okay and that you're managing to cope as best as can be expected in these very weird circumstances. So if you watched my last video, which was a sort of just general reintroduction to my channel since I had been away for 2 years, then you will know that I mentioned in that video that the only thing that I knew for certain that I wanted to film after that was a book related video. So that is what I'm here to film today. You can probably tell that from the title of this video. If you know the author's name, then this is not going to be a massive surprise. I also want to just quickly apologise if you are listening to this and you can hear the wind howling in the chimney. I have looked at the weather forecast and apparently the next 3 days are going to be ridiculously windy. Which is rotten and just not fun, especially when the only thing that we're really allowed to go out for is a very brief walk. And going out in like massive gale force winds is never fun, but if you can hear it in the chimney, I do apologise. So I bought a book by Mhairi McFarlane probably about 2 years ago. I can't remember when it was, but I picked it up and I think it was just in Asda on one of these like 2 for £7 book deals or whatever. So it has been sitting on my bookshelf for the past couple of years, and the reason that I actually bought it was because of Lena from Lena Norms. If you've ever watched Lena's videos, you'll know how great she is. If you haven't, then go and check her out. I'll link her YouTube channel down in the description box below so that you can go and check her out. But she's always been a big fan of Mhairi McFarlane's books and talked about how much she's enjoyed them and how they're just these really feel-good rom-com style sort of things that are written in a really clever way. And so I've always thought like, yeah, I'll get to them, that seems like something I would enjoy, and to the point that I actually picked up Who's That Girl a couple of years ago. So about halfway through February I was ready to embark on a new book. I'd finished whatever I was reading before and I lifted this up and I thought, right, do you know what, I'll give it a go. I'll give it a go because it seems like the kind of like warm and fuzzy sort of material that I need in my life right now. And it's just started a complete obsession. So funnily enough, by like sheer coincidence, we hadn't actually discussed this. My friend Roisin, whose channel I'll link in the description box down below too, Roisin and I both started reading a different Mhairi McFarlane book the same week. Without having talked about it, we both just happened to decide it was the time to read it. And I had messaged her, I think, to say like, oh, this is what I'm reading. Funnily enough, she was reading one too. And we've just had many conversations now since then about what a brilliant author Mhairi McFarlane is and how worth it her books are if you're looking for something really feel good to read. So far I think she's written 6 books and I've read 2, and I have now actually gone to the bother of ordering all 4 of her other books because I feel like right now, when the world is very scary and intense, this is what I need right now. So far the 2 that I have read, I'm not going to go into spoilers about these books, it's more just about the kind of overall general feel of these books is what I wanted to talk about. But I have read Who's That Girl and I have read If I Never Met You, which I think is the most recent one. It was published in 2020. I picked it up again in Asda just before lockdown began. Actually, I saw it on the shelf and I thought, oh good, like another one of her books to get me through another few very stressful days of social distancing. To kind of it's very hard to do these books justice in a sort of general summary, but what I would say so far from the 2 that I've read so far is you would call them rom-com style books. So far, both the ones that I've read, and as far as I can tell, all 4 of the others from the snippets I've read on the back, they're all like male-female relationships, very traditional like rom-com style situations, told generally from the woman's point of view, and sort of going on this journey throughout the novel with whichever guy it happens to be in each book. So it sounds like a very like kind of basic standard traditional concept, but she writes them so well that you cannot put it down. I needed something to kind of pull me straight back in and get me like totally gripped and hooked in order to actually, I think, fall back into a proper habit with reading. And I needed to find someone, I needed to find an author who was going to have the ability to do that. But I felt it needed to be in a really light-hearted way, because at the moment, as I say, the world's very dark. There's a lot of very scary stuff happening, so I needed it to be light, but like gripping, and that is what these books are. Like, they are completely addictive. You fall completely head over heels in love with the characters and the story, and you root for these characters from the very start. The other thing that I really love about these books, and it's so hard to describe unless you're actually reading it, is that she does exactly what you want her to do in this really brilliantly unapologetic way. You know, that way that you're watching something and from kind of early on you're like, oh, okay, like this is what's going to happen. These two people are going to end up falling in love, and they'll go on this journey and they'll end up together and it'll be really cute. And I think now there's a sort of predictability of that people are trying not to do that. So people are trying to kind of veer away from that and do like surprising things and have big twists and complications and not do what you expect them to do, sort of thing. So I think what's actually ironically really surprising about her books, or the ones that I've read so far anyway, is that it's surprising that she does exactly what you want her to do, because you're watching it and you're sort of almost like, oh, okay, there's going to be some sort of twist that's going to make this not work out. And then the way that it does work out is just so joyful and amazing that it just makes you so happy. I feel like she knows her audience so well, and she knows exactly what people are going to respond well to. So for me, reading these books, you're reading them, and obviously you're reading them from the perspective of the lead female character, and so you're putting yourself in her shoes and whatever, and you know what you want to happen in that situation, in this sort of like fantasy life where, like, for example, I'll just give like a sort of brief overview of this particular book. So who's that girl, the main character, Edie? She's had a stressful time in her life. She's ended up moving back home to her hometown. She's a writer, and so she ends up getting, it tells you this in the back of the book, it's not like some sort of like massive spoiler, but through her work she ends up getting put in this position where she has to work with this massively famous, handsome, much adored actor. And so you kind of read the back of the book and you read the start of the book and you're getting through it and you're kind of going like, oh, this is probably what's going to happen. But it's what you want to happen. And I know it sounds so ridiculous, it's so ridiculously simple, but it's like watching a rom-com. And you know when someone does a rom-com and then they try and be clever by like blowing it all apart at the end and like making things not work out the way that you thought to try and be, you know, controversial or, you know, subvert expectations or whatever. Like, she doesn't do that. As I say, in the two books that I've read so far, she knows her audience well enough to know exactly what is going to make them like completely buzzing, and she just goes for it. But when you say it like that, it sounds like such a basic thing. But what makes it so brilliant is that she's such a good writer. This is not a situation where you're opening up a book and being like, oh, like anybody could have written this. Like, it's this love story that, you know, anyone could have thought up in their head and just like put down on paper. She's really clever with it, and the way that she writes these characters is so clever, because Roisin and I were talking about this the other day. It's not like she just creates this very like one-dimensional like woman looking for a nice man and then brings in attractive man and it all goes, you know, very nicely and they run off into the sunset together. These characters are a lot more complex than that. They've got a lot going on in their backgrounds. They've maybe been through significant trauma. Both of the women, like the lead characters in these two books, have had fairly serious things happen to them in their childhood that has then like gone on to really affect them later in their lives. They've been through really difficult things that are very difficult for people to process. So she manages to work that in a way that feels very real, and it's not being trivialized in any sort of way, and it sort of hits you and you're like, oh wow, like this person's been through something really hard. Which then, because she works that in such like a clever and non like trivializing way, makes these wonderful outcomes and these wonderful relationships that she's building even more important, because you get so excited for this person to have this wonderful happy ending. I also apologise for the lighting, because I was meant to film this video like 2 hours ago, and I sat down at my camera and 5 minutes into filming, the battery cut out because I'm an idiot and I'm completely out of practice and I had forgotten to charge the battery. So it is what it is. And do you know what? See, in the grand scheme of things at the moment, the fact that there's like light coming through my blinds and showing on the side of my couch and wind coming down the chimney, I think is the least of our problems right now. So yeah, anyway, as I say, I think because she manages to really cleverly work in these quite dark elements to the character's past, it then makes you root for them even more, and you want them to have this really wonderful happy ending and this like really romantic journey, and you fall like head over heels for them. On top of that, again, like the women have these sort of complex backgrounds and difficult family situations and things that have, you know, gone wrong in the past that they're trying to recover from. The men as well, as I say, like in Who's That Girl, obviously I've kind of touched on the fact that he, the lead male in that story, is this like famous actor. And so you would maybe think like, oh, like again, kind of one-dimensional hot actor guy. Not like that at all. She pulls in a lot of like really surprising things for these characters, like difficult backstories for them too, that when the girl meets boy kind of situation, it's like, oh, you're probably just this like egocentric like guy who thinks he's all that, and then you slowly start to find that they're very layered and they've got a lot going on under the surface as well. Roisin, I'm gonna have to ask her if she minds if I read this out, because Roisin like summed it up really well the other day in terms of the guys and how we kind of feel about them. Yeah, so we were talking about how much we'd like really enjoyed like her writing and whatever. So Roisin said, they're all so cute and all the men are just politically awake enough that you're like, yes, I like you, and not just because you're attractive, but because you have nice morals. So I'm going to have to message her and ask if she minds that I've included that in the situation, but it's so true, because it is, again, it's not just a case of like, oh, like very hot guy, like, or like that kind of idea that you kind of fall for these characters because you do. Like, I think when you're watching rom-coms or you're reading books like this, you're putting yourself in the character's shoes. You want to experience the nice like happy ending for the character through their eyes. And so, you know, it could end up turning into a sort of, oh, but you know, I'm just a simple girl and this, you know, massive actor thinks I'm worthy. Like, it could turn into that, but it just totally doesn't, because she manages to write the characters and write these male characters as flawed, but also, as Roisin says, like politically aware enough to be the kind of guys that you'd be like, yeah, do you know what, like, you're not just some like big man coming in to be like, yes, I'll just, you know, I'll grace you with my presence, and yeah, do you know what, you can feel good about yourself because I, great man, fancy you. It's not like that at all. She manages to make these characters real enough and kind of aware enough of themselves and what they might be coming across as, to make you just fall completely in love with them too. So yeah, basically this has just been however many minutes of me fangirling over Mhairi McFarlane and saying how great she is. So if you are looking for a book at the moment, or a series of books, because as I say, I've now just ordered the whole bunch, to get you through this very dark and stressful time, and if you enjoy romantic novels, rom-com films, anything like that, then these are the books for you. I would highly recommend going and checking them out. I will probably talk more about them in the future because I'll have read the other 4 by then, and I can't wait for her to come out with more. I hope she never stops writing them. I personally, I said this to Roisin, I was like, I want an update on these guys. Like, I want to know what happens after this novel finishes. So yeah, I've just like got completely obsessed. So yeah, I'm going to leave it there. Please comment below if you've read any of Mhairi McFarlane's books, or if you intend to, based on my rambling approval, or if you've heard anything else. As I say, Lena Norms has talked about her in many videos, and so if you fancy reading some of her books, let me know. Also, let me know what you've been reading at the moment. If you have any recommendations of books that are quite light and easygoing and maybe along the kind of rom-com lines, let me know, because that is what I need in my life right now. I'm trying to kind of just veer away. Like, the irony is I'm still watching like true crime content and some stuff that is pretty dark, but generally I'm trying to kind of keep myself in a fairly light and happy bubble when the world outside is as scary as it is. So if you've got any good recommendations, please let me know. Okay, the lighting has become atrocious, so I'm gonna go, but thank you so much for watching. I hope that you guys are all doing okay. As I say, comment below and let me know what you have been reading lately. and I will speak to you again soon.